Welcome back to the Annie Frey Show. I want to get right to our next guest. Congresswoman Mary Miller joins us. She represents Illinois' 15th District at Rep. Mary Miller on X. Congresswoman, thank you for the time today. Happy 4th of July, Independence Day. It's good to have you with us.
Same to you.
Thank you so much. I wanted to ask you, there's a couple issues that I want to get to, including the Screen Act that you are a big part of, that is a part of child online safety. But before we get to that, I wanted to get your reaction yesterday to some of the Supreme Court rulings that we got yesterday. Maybe you can talk about any other ones that have come here as of late. But specifically, the Supreme Court's ruling that in those states that have said biological boys cannot participate in sports that are girls' sports. What did you think about that from the affirmation for the laws that existed in the state? Because in Illinois, as you and I both know, that law doesn't exist in Illinois. So Illinois girls still have to deal with this issue.
Well, it's a battle we have to continue to fight. And it, like I say, it's not going to force states like Illinois to get in line with the executive order that President Trump issued on day one. So it's really too bad for Illinois.
Yeah. A part of the rulings there in the Supreme Court had to do with birthright citizenship, counting ballots. It's another issue that we're dealing with in the state of Illinois. Others are as well. Counting ballots after Election Day. There's a lot that the Save America Act addresses that the Supreme Court was unwilling to address from the bench. And, I'm looking at this saying, I think that this is Congress's responsibility. This belongs to the legislative branch. Can the Save America Act pass the House, and can we get it to the Senate?
The Senate will not move on anything, and we're just stalled out here. We have sent it multiple times to the Senate, 3 times, and they're not doing their job. They're worthless. Hopefully, we can get a third reconciliation package passed, and we can get that included. But it's a scary time in a way. I encourage the listeners, if they believe in the power of prayer, to pray for those that are in authority, like the scriptures say. We need God's intervention and his favor on this. I don't know what else to say. And then the most egregious ruling yesterday had to do with the birthright citizenship, which, we all know has been exploited for decades. America should not reward illegal immigration or encourage birth tourism by automatically granting citizenship to every child born here. No serious country in the world would do that. In fact, I saw a list of, a very long list of countries that do not allow this.
Yeah. It's not an uncommon practice. We're actually kind of in the uncommon category when it comes to allowing birthright or birth tourism here in the United States. Let's shift gears here to something that you're very active in. The Screen Act is an act that establishes a national age verification requirement for commercial websites that distribute obscene material online. And Congresswoman, there are a lot of websites and online entities that will permit the distribution of obscene material. It's not just, the obvious sites that people might think. There's a lot of that on the internet. Talk to me about the Screen Act and your part in it.
Sure. Well, as you know, one of my top priorities is to stand up and strengthen the American family. Parents are doing everything they can, but today's internet makes explicit content available with just a few clicks. Sadly, children, the first time that they encounter online pornography, on average, the age is 11. Ugh. And by the time our children, I think it's 80% of American children, by the time they're 18, have been exposed to it on the internet. And the porn industry knows children are accessing this content. They do not care. They are looking for future customers. So my bill is going to require someone to prove that they're 18 in order to enter the site. And the fact is that we protect our children from all other kind of vices. I mean, you have to be 18 to purchase tobacco, to purchase alcohol, to enter a casino. We also protect our children. They can't buy firearms, under 18. They can't go into adult shows. So this is common sense. Our children need to be protected. It's the first role of the government.
Do you feel as though, are you getting pushback from any particular place on trying to protect these kids from being able to access this? Is there an entity? Is it a bipartisan support that you have for this type of activity?
It is bipartisan. There are people that are concerned about privacy, but there's several things with this. First of all this is doing is closing the door to the porn companies so that it cannot be opened unless you first prove that you're 18 or older. And so the porn companies can keep churning out their filth and the perverts can keep accessing it, but you have to prove you're 18. And I am a big supporter of the First Amendment, but the First Amendment protections have never applied to obscenity. And that's what this is.
We're speaking with Congresswoman Mary Miller, Illinois' 15th District Representative. It's not lost on me that, especially with the socialism creep in the Democrat Party, that there is a constant effort from our overbloated bureaucratic government to break down the family, to divide the family, to separate the family, to diminish fatherhood within a home. I mean, It is a tenet of socialism to rely on government, where I feel as though the capitalistic, the alternative to socialism is to encourage we the people within our communities, within, of course, our family, our core family units, our churches, to be there for one another, to lift each other up, to help each other. When you break all that down, when you diminish all of that, then all of a sudden the government's help seems to look a little more attractive. Are you concerned about the Democrat Party socialism creep that they're experiencing across the country right now?
Well, absolutely. I heard someone say the other day, you're more likely to find a spotted owl in D.C. than to find a blue dog Democrat. They have been taken over by radical. Need to work with any of them if they could come up with any good ideas. They have no good ideas, which is why they opened the border under Joe Biden and brought in 20 million ISIS initiative to deport these people, and why they are all 100% opposed to voter ID and proof of U.S. citizenship. The only way they can stay in power, because they have bad ideas, is to replace the American people at the polls.
Do you feel, Congresswoman, that, I wouldn't ask you to name names, but we wouldn't turn them down. But do you get the sense on Capitol Hill that there are Democrats who are fretting about the direction of the Democrat Party, but they're not, they kind of see the way that people are going in primaries, where if you are a moderate, if there were 13 people who just signed that thing last week that said, we're capitalists and Democrats. Yeah. So there are a few. Is that sentiment real on Capitol Hill? They just don't know how to go and navigate about being a Democrat and a capitalist in 2026?
I would say barely there. I have heard just like one or two Democrats. It's barely there. Their hunger, their thirst for power oversees what they know is right to do. And I don't know. I just think about the Apostle Paul. He said, we will give an account for what we've done in our bodies, whether for good or for evil. And it would really benefit politicians to remind themselves of that. But it's a lust for power. I just cannot say enough how the American people need to be razzed up and go out and vote. Yeah. It is your civic duty. It is the very minimum thing that you do. Inform yourself and go vote. The Republican Party, we're flawed individuals, but the Republican Party platform is amazing, and we are there for the American people. Just like a year ago, we passed the big, beautiful bill with tax cuts in it. People should have accessed those and benefited already. But, we raised the child tax credit. We made permanent tax relief, like in light of the death tax, saving the family farm. We funded border security and deportation so that we can be safe in our communities. We defunded Planned Parenthood. My provision was included in there where taxpayer-funded SNAP benefits are for American citizens only. We defunded the Green Bad Deal, which was ridiculous, funding unreliable and unaffordable energy, and we unleashed American energy. I mean, we have been there for the American people, the bread and butter issues that matter to the American people.
Yeah, we have, and you have, and we're watching to see this fight prevail once again in the midterms. I just scratch my head and go, will the Democrats run a socialist for president in 2028? I mean, we're on that trajectory, and we shall see. Yeah. Congresswoman, we're grateful for your time this afternoon. Thank you for working very hard, diligently to protect our children from the powers that exist, and especially the porn industry. It needs to be talked about more than it is, and I'm grateful that you are focused on it. Congresswoman, thank you.
You're welcome. Bye-bye.
Have a great day. Happy 4th. That is Congresswoman Mary Miller, Illinois' 15th District Representative, at Rep. Mary Miller on X.